The impact of artificial intelligence on jobs. What is AI going to do to jobs? Are we all going to become unemployed, or will it just change the way we work? I generally divide jobs into 4 categories. Repetitive and routine jobs, meaning jobs that follow a fixed pattern. You do almost the same thing every day. There isn't any special decision-making involved either. Like data entry, secretarial work, simple operator jobs, basic accounting, repetitive photo and video editing. This category will be the most negatively affected by AI. The second category is analytical and specialized jobs. These are jobs that require thinking, analysis, and knowledge, like medicine, law, engineering, graphic design. AI doesn't replace these, but it helps them work faster, more accurately, and more powerfully. The third category is creative and artistic jobs. Here, imagination, talent, and storytelling come into play. Photographer, filmmaker, writer, fashion designer, animator. AI enhances these jobs, but the main element is still the human. The fourth category is human, interpersonal, and service jobs. Jobs that involve emotion, empathy, and direct interaction, like teacher, coach, psychologist, nurse. These are almost irreplaceable. Now let's look at the impact of AI on each of these jobs. When it comes to repetitive jobs, to be honest, these are the ones that get hit the hardest. Why? Because they follow a specific pattern. They don't require emotion or creativity. They proceed with fixed instructions. For example, automating data entry in cement factories. For chatbots, simple customer support, or for automated tools, a basic edit gets the job done. AI does these tasks better, faster, and with fewer errors. In analytical jobs, here AI acts as a powerful assistant, not a replacement. For example, a doctor can use AI for diagnosis, but the final decision is made by a human. Or a lawyer uses AI for text analysis, but judgment and negotiation are human tasks. In marketing, data analysis is done by AI, but strategy is set by humans. Why can't these jobs be fully automated? Because their decisions are multi-layered. They involve human and legal responsibility. Sometimes ethical decisions have to be made. In creative professions, things get really interesting. Artificial intelligence is a super tool, not an artist. It helps you shape ideas faster. It lets you edit more quickly. It can inspire you. But it doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have lived experience. It doesn't have a personal message. Art is about human feeling, experience, and perspective. This formula for art still belongs to humans. In human-centered jobs, AI only acts as an assistant. Why aren't they replaced? Because people want trust from other people. True empathy is human. Ethics and physical presence matter. No system can yet replace real human connection. If I want to sum it up, AI absorbs repetitive jobs, makes analytical jobs stronger, makes creative jobs faster and more engaging, and only accompanies human-centered jobs. Everything depends on how much a job can be turned into an algorithm and how much it is centered around humans. But there's also a very important warning. Artificial intelligence is not infallible. The problem starts when people say, AI said it, so it must be true. And that's very dangerous. For example, medical and psychological errors. AI sees patterns, but it doesn't understand the feelings, life circumstances, or hidden details. Blind trust equals a serious risk to your health. The next danger is the destruction of your decision-making ability. When you say, AI understands better than I do, your judgment gradually weakens. You become dependent. Without technology, you end up confused. Hidden biases. AI is trained on data. If the data is wrong, the output will be wrong too. But you don't see the reason why. You just accept the result. The next danger is losing contact with real experts. When you think AI is better than a doctor or counselor, it gradually replaces humans. And that's a big mistake. Becoming a mental authority. When blind trust forms, AI turns from a tool into an authority. And that's where critical thinking dies. Losing your way in life. When you let AI make all your decisions, you gradually lose yourself and become a version of its decisions, not your own. If we want to have a final summary again, I'm saying AI is a super tool, but it's not a super authority. It should be an advisor, a helper, but it's not the commander of our lives. The winners of the future aren't those who stand against AI, but those who know how to work alongside it without losing their humanity. Let me tell you a short story. Ali is an ordinary person. He's neither a genius nor lacking in talent. He's a 30-something office worker who's been doing the same job for years. Every morning he comes in and opens a bunch of files. He enters the data. He does a simple edit. At the end of the month, he gets his salary, until one day, the company announces that starting next month, a new AI-based system will be introduced. At first, Ali laughs. He says, "Come on, this is just a trick." He asks, "Can it really replace a person?" A few months go by. The task that used to take Ali 8 hours, the system now does in 10 minutes. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't ask for time off. It doesn't make any typos. This is exactly the point where the fear begins. Let's also see how Ali's coworkers react. The first person says this damn technology has ruined everything. He resists. He doesn't learn. He says this is just temporary and it'll pass. But after a while, first his name disappears from the overtime list, then from the projects, and then himself. But the second person says, if it's going to be AI, so be it. I'll learn alongside it too. He starts to understand what AI can do and what it can't. Gradually, his job changes. He doesn't just execute anymore. He makes decisions. He supervises. He corrects. AI becomes his assistant, not his enemy. What was the difference between these two people? It's not intelligence, not age, not luck. It's just attitude. One said either me or AI. The other said me plus AI. And this is exactly the difference between a winner and a loser. Now let's bring this into the world of art. Imagine two photographers. The first one says AI has destroyed art. The second one says, all right, let me see what it can do. One gets swallowed up by the market. The other creates works that were previously impossible. Not because AI is an artist, but because a human knew how to use it. AI doesn't come and say, you're bad, I'm good. It comes and says, if your work is repetitive, I'm faster. If your work is human and creative, let's make it even stronger together. But there's also an important red line here. This story also has a dangerous continuation. People who said, I won't think for myself anymore, let AI do the thinking. These people haven't just lost their jobs, they've lost their decision-making identity. AI knows how to make suggestions, but it doesn't know how to live. AI doesn't destroy the future. People who don't learn get destroyed, and even more dangerously, those who do learn but stop thinking for themselves. AI should be by your side, not ahead of you or above you. Now, it's a good time to get familiar with a very important concept. There are two mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. These two ways of thinking often determine whether a person gets swallowed up by AI or grows with it. What does a fixed mindset mean? It means a person tells themselves, this is just who I am. I'm too old. This technology isn't for our generation. AI will destroy people's jobs. A person with a fixed mindset is afraid of learning. They see change as a threat. They consider making mistakes as failure and prefer to stick to what they've always done. Like an editor who says, I've been editing manually for years. These AI tools are useless. So what happens as a result? The market moves faster than they do, and gradually they fall behind the competition. A growth mindset means a person tells themselves, I can learn. I don't have to be perfect. It's enough to just get started. This is a new tool. Let me give it a try. Someone with a growth mindset sees change as an opportunity. They see mistakes as part of the learning process. They see their skills as improvable. They use AI as a tool. Like a photographer who says, I'm a photographer, but I can learn how to create environments with AI. The result is that their work becomes more unique, they deliver faster, and their value in the market increases. The main difference between these two mindsets: a fixed mindset says it's either me or AI. A growth mindset says me together with AI. The first one usually gets scared and pulls back. The second one moves forward and creates a new version of themselves. The fact that AI filmmakers have arrived doesn't mean that directors will be absorbed. It's actually the opposite. This is where the difference between a director and a simple AI operator becomes clear. If we leave everything to AI and just tell it what to make, the result will be a proper and clean output, but one without identity. But when the director decides what, why, and how something should be made, AI becomes a tool for execution, not the brain making the decisions. Both use the same technology, but one just presses a button while the other creates a narrative. AI creates images, but it's the director who defines the meaning, emotion, and direction. AI doesn't categorize people. It's our mindset that determines whether we get absorbed or grow. Someone with a growth mindset doesn't see AI as a threat, but as a tool to become stronger.